Meganium has given us a very solid foundation for our return to Generation 3 Kanto, and now it's time for Feraligatr's run. I still don't feel perfectly at home in FireRed, but I can absolutely say that my confidence is improving in leaps and bounds with every single challenge I'm playing here in FireRed, and I think the Totodile line is a great line to be learning with. So now we've received our Totodile, let's try our first battle against the rival. This is of course Rival 1, he's got Bulbasaur because that's going to be super effective against us, and we're already starting off at an advantage in this battle. Scratch is far better than Tackle, so we can knock out the Bulbasaur in a few hits, defeats the rival for the first time, and starts making our way north towards Pewter City. Of course, before we get to Pewter City, I'm going to show you the very first encounter we have with a wild Pokemon. It was 2 shots to knock out a level 3 Rattata, and now that we've done a little bit of grinding, we have Water Gun on the learn set, so this will make Brock's battle a foregone conclusion. It's a 1-shot on the Geodude, and it's also going to be a 1-shot on the Onix, taking a little bit of tackle damage. We grow to level 15, and that means we have defeated Brock, and we have earned our first badge, the Boulder Badge, in 6 minutes and 13 seconds. And now we can start making our way east towards Mount Moon. It's on our way east, we battle Lash Robin, and just like in the last run with Meganium, we end up evolving for the first time against her Jigglypuff. So it's goodbye to Totodile and hello to Croconaw. Croconaw comes with a very nice boost to its base stats, and just in time too, because we're about to take on Misty. She is our second gym leader together, the Water-type specialist, and she leads with Staryu. We're going to use Bite for this battle. It's a special move, which does mean it's playing on our lower special attack, but it's going to be super effective against the Starmie. The only trouble is, we ended up getting confused because of Water Pulse. That means we are relying on luck for the rest of this battle. The luck doesn't quite fall our way though, we get confused for a second time and we take a reset when we get hit by Water Pulse. As long as we don't get confused, I think this battle is more than winnable. We absolutely have the win condition here because we've got the super effective move for the Starmie, and this time Misty has wasted her potions on Staryu. That is brilliant for us because it means we don't have to worry about those 2 health bars of the Starmie. And after a few more nibbles, we get through Misty, we defeat her and obtain the Cascade Badge in 14 minutes and 23 seconds. We can't celebrate for too long though, we've got another rival battle, and this one is probably one of the hardest rival battles we'll see in all of Generation 3 Kanto. It's up there with Rival 2 in Pokemon Crystal for one of the trickier ones, especially when the rival has Bulbasaur, because he can incapacitate you by sending you to sleep. That's exactly what happened here, and in addition to that, we were Leech Seeded. So I decided to get another level. We're going to grow up to level 24 and see how we get on at this point. It might make some of those ranges a little bit more reliable. We're also changing strategy slightly, and we're playing with the Sand Attack to try and take as much rage as possible. We've got a very high rage when the Bulbasaur comes in, Sleep Powder misses and we knock it out in 2 shots. Because of how high rage is built, it's by far our strongest move, so we'll continue on that with the Abra and the Rattata to defeat the second rival battle, and we can move on to the SS Anne. It's on the SS Anne that we meet a very, very kind sailor called Huey. And why is he kind? He gives us the experience we need to grow to level 30. And at level 30, Croconaw is going to evolve. So it's goodbye to Croconaw for this run, and instead we're saying hello to Feraligatr. And that means we have our final Pokemon for the rest of this run. We'll pick up TM44, not that we'll need it in this run, and we can take on the rival for the 3rd time. This time he's going to lead with Pidgeotto. I decided to try and play for the flinch against the Pidgeotto, but it didn't happen and we took some damage from Gust. Secret Power is going to be our best move against Ivysaur, and thank goodness Sleep Powder missed. We'll continue with Secret Power against the Rat, and we'll finish off the Kadabra as well with the Secret Power. We grow to level 31 and we have defeated the rival for the 3rd time. Now in a very big stroke of luck, just before the Electric Gym, we get TM10 yet again from Meowth. Now if somebody who's more au fait with the Universal Pokemon Randomizer can tell me if they've changed the pickup odds, I'd be incredibly grateful, because I was always under the impression that TM10 was incredibly hard to get in the Kanto runs. However, we've had it 2 runs in a row at a very similar spot. This was actually the very first item that Meowth had picked up in this run, and it turned what could have been a very difficult Surge fight into an incredibly easy one. We get through Surge in a time of 30 minutes and 32 seconds. Now let's take on Giovanni for the first time, and while we're battling Giovanni, I just want to say that hidden power completely really messed up my routing. I was planning on going to get Surf really early on because I thought that would be the most consistent way to get through Surge. As it happened though, we didn't need it. It just shows how much luck can go into having a pickup Pokémon on your team, so I think I'll definitely be doing that going forwards. Now that we've defeated Giovanni for the first time, we can move to the rival for the fourth time. Once again, he leads with Pidgeotto, and this time we're going to lead with Secret's Power. It was a one-shot on the Pidgeotto, and we'll swap to Aerial Ace that we picked up on Route 9 for the Ivysaur. Intimidate comes into play with the Gyarados, so we start off with a Water Pulse to try and confuse it. He locks into Thrash, which is guaranteed confusion for the Gyarados, and combine that with a Paralysis from Secret's Power. It was all over for the Gyarados. We'll finish the Growlithe off with a Water Pulse as well. We'll grow to level 39, and now it's time to take on Kadabra. We'll use Aerial Ace to simply one-shot that away, and we defeated the rival for the fourth time, but what could be better than defeating the rival for the fourth time? It's defeating the rival for the fifth time. We do have an upgrade from Water Pulse now. We've got Surf on the learn set, but we're still running with Aerial Ace for the Venusaur. We fall asleep much like we did a lot earlier on in the run against this pesky rival starter, and we have to take a reset. We're going to start off with Surf once again against the Pidgeot, and we get a very lucky critical hit. We grow to level 42, and the Venusaur comes out once more. This time he uses Sweet Scent, which was a little bit weird, wasn't it? We're not going to complain though, that means we at least get to see the Gyarados. We're going to use Aerial Ace on turn 1, and then we're just going to swap to Surf. We really don't have anything great against this Gyarados, but fortunately for us, he doesn't have anything great for us either. We are on 32 HP now as the Growlithe comes out. Growlithe's a bit of a freebie because it's going to be a simple one-shot with Surf, and his final Pokemon is Alakazam. We have just about enough special attack to knock it out in one, and that means we are through the rival for the fifth time. And what is better than having a rival sandwich between two slices of Giovanni bread? That's what's happening here. We're going to two-shot the Nidorino, and we're now on to Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen's weak to Surf, so it's a couple of Surfs to knock it out, and thank goodness we don't get poisoned. We grow to level 44 as the Kangaskhan comes out. We use Secret Power on turn 1 as he starts to build up his rage. We critical hit on turn 2, and we survive on 90, knocking it out. The final Rhyhorn is absolutely free. It's 4 times weak to Surf, so we finish it off, and we have defeated Giovanni for the second time. Let's now move on to Fuchsia City, where Koga is waiting for us. He's the poison type specialist, and he leads with Coughing. We one-shot the Coughing with Surf, and we move on to Hidden Power for the Muck. Muck gets caught in a very early healing loop here as we just keep spamming Hidden Power. We'll finish it off with a combination of a single Surf followed by another Hidden Power, and that brings us very nicely on to Koga's second Coughing. We grow to level 46. We know that Surf's a one-shot against the Coughing, and his final Pokemon is Weezing. Weezing's a nice and simple two-shot to finish Koga off, and that's our fourth badge in 56 minutes and 35 seconds. Let's now take on Erica of Celadon Gym, who leads with Victory Bell. We've replaced Hidden Power Ground with Ice Beam at this point, and that is simply because of the sheer number of Intimidates we're going to be coming up against. That means we are much better off playing with our special attack. We get through Sabrina very quickly in a time of 59 minutes and 12 seconds, and now here comes a very free gym leader. Last time with Meganium, it was all about Blaine and how tricky he was, but we are a Water-type Pokemon, and that means this is a very, very simple battle. We grow to level 50 as the Arcanine comes out, we knock it out with a single Surf, and we are through Blaine in a time of 1 hour, 3 minutes and 12 seconds. Our penultimate gym leader is Sabrina. She is the Saffron leader who leads with Kadabra. We one-shot the Kadabra with Surf, so she tries with a Mr. Mime. It's going to be a two-shot on the Mr. Mime, even with a Calm Mind to boost its special defense. We finish it off with an Aerial Ace, and then out comes Venomoth. Venomoth's a simple one-shot with Aerial Ace because it's weak to the flying type, and then we'll swap to Secret's Power for the Alakazam. It's close, but no banana for a one-shot against the Alakazam, but 2 further Secret Powers knocks it out, and we have defeated Sabrina in a time of 1 hour, 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Let's now move on to Giovanni. He is our final gym leader, and he leads with Rhyhorn. Rhyhorn was incredibly free, as was the Doug Trio, and that means he's on to Nidoqueen. And this time, Giovanni's Royal Pair is a simple set of one-shots apiece. Giovanni then goes out with a Whimper instead of a Bang as we finish off his final Rhyhorn. We grow to level 53, and we obtain the final badge, the Earth badge, in a time of 1 hour, 6 minutes and 56 seconds. And with that, we've got all 8 of our gym badges required. Let's take on the rival now for the final time outside of the Pokemon League, where he leads with Pidgeot. Pidgeot does what I expect there and goes for Feather Dance, but we are going to try and focus primarily on our special attack. And we have a slight problem. We're not able to 2-shot the Venusaur, even with a very strong Ice Beam. It's a 3-shot and we're down to 54 HP already. We know that we get a free turn anytime we're against a Rhyhorn, so that was a very nice respite in this tricky battle, and we are now on to Gyarados. Gyarados helps us out here because we've got a Torrent boosted, Rain Dance boosted Surf to knock him out in 2 shots, and now we are going to easily outspeed this Growlithe. Growlithe won't use extreme speed, and we knock it out in 1 shot to grow to level 54, and the final Pokemon is Alakazam. We're still in Torrent, and the rain is still up, so that means we get a very simple 1-shot to finish off the rival once and for all in 1 hour, 8 minutes and 10 seconds. And with that, we're at the Pokemon League. Now, I will take this opportunity as we're healing up and saying thank you to the HM friends to remind everybody that in the Generation 3 runs, we can use rare candies as soon as we get into the Pokemon League. It doesn't matter which Pokemon League member we are facing, we can use up to all of our rare candies that we have at our current disposal. And that is just because Generation 3's Elite Fours are significantly more difficult than Generation 2's, so it makes the most sense to use the rare candies absolutely where they're needed in the league. Now let's take on Lorelei. She's our first league member and she leads with Dugong. And now I will very openly admit I struggle every time I come up against Lorelei. There are very few Pokemon I've run in FireRed, even not on the channel, where I don't struggle to find the right strategy against her. There's just something about her team that really doesn't work for my brain, and no matter what strategy I use, I always end up becoming a little bit unstuck against her, and we can see that here very nicely in our first attempt against Lorelei. I think a lot of the problem is she has a lot of bulk behind her, and I'm still very used to Generation 2, where a lot of the Pokemon you come up against have incredibly paper-thin defenses. They're not necessarily hitting you very hard, but they are able to status you and just whittle you down piece by piece. And that's exactly what happened here against Lorelei in this reset. We get critical hit and we have to start again. This time I'm replacing Brick Break with Focus Punch to see if that does anything different whatsoever. I'm thinking if she tries to status, at least Focus Punch is going to hit some of these Pokemon incredibly hard, especially when she gets caught in a bit of a healing loop against this Cloyster. And after a much smoother first 2 Pokemon, she's going to send out her Slowbro third. Now Slowbro really is the sticking point of this battle. I tried to use a Focus Punch, but I forget it's going to be resisted, so it's going to do next to nothing. For some reason I just had Lorelei's an Ice-type trainer use Fighting-type moves in my head the entire time. I swap strategies and try to play for the freeze instead, and we get incredibly lucky with a critical hit, Ice Beam and a freeze in 1 turn. And now we're going to swap back to Focus Punch, simply because it's going to do the most damage out of any move on our learn set. That brings us on to Jinx, and here we see the flaw with having Focus Punch, because it means we had to use our special attack against Jinx. She's very specially defensive and we get sent to sleep. Combine that with the Ice Punch hitting incredibly hard seeing as we resist it, or we're not in a good way as we knock out the Jinx. We've only got 70 health for the Lapras. I try using Focus Punch, but it's not the play here. We lose our focus 3 turns in a row, I give in and I decide to use our first set of 3 rare candies. So we're now up to level 58 and I've also abandoned the Focus Punch strategy. We're back to Brick Break. I think Brick Break is going to be the most consistent way to get through this battle. We 2-shot the Dugong and that brings us nicely back onto the Cloyster. Cloyster trolls us by using Protect on turn 1 and we can see here that Brick Break isn't quite a 2-shot. We get it deep into the red as it starts up the hail, and when the hail starts, that is terrible for us. It means that we're going to be taking chip damage guaranteed every single turn. Lorelei then swaps into Lapras, who has Water Absorb, so that really ruins our day here. The Lapras is also holding a Citrus Berry, which means a 2-shot becomes a 3-shot. We're down to 72 HP as the Cloyster comes back out. We low roll against the Cloyster and the hail starts back up. She starts stalling with Protect and it's going out of our favour yet again. We're only on 50 HP as the Slowbro comes out and that's not going to be enough to get through it. Even with Return, we get knocked out and I use another 3 rare candies. Lorelei really is difficult. I don't know if I was playing her entirely wrong or if I'm just unlucky in this battle. I really think that Brick Break is the way to go instead of Focus Punch because we don't have to worry about what the enemy is doing. We're on almost full health as the Cloister comes out, and yet again it stalls us with Protect. But when we hit the Cloister, we get it deep into the yellow. Lorelei stalls with Protect again, so we keep taking chip damage. And when we low roll with Brick Break, I decide to take another reset and use some more rare candies. So we're now up to level 65, and that is it. We have no further rare candies for the rest of this challenge. We've got to get through everything on just experience alone at this point. We're on full health as we knock out the Dugong, and this time it's going to be a consistent 2-shot against the Cloister. She doesn't have Hail up either, and that means we're going to be on full health when we knock out the Cloister and we move on to the Slowbro. We're going to use Return against the Slowbro as it uses Amnesia. Amnesia's great for us. We're only going to be hitting it with physical attacks. We 3-shot it to knock it out, and here comes Jinx. We've got Return on the learn set for Jinx now, so that's a simple 1-shot, and the final Pokemon is Lapras. I misclick on Surf on turn 1, but it doesn't matter, because even with the Citrus Berry, it's a comfortable 2-shot against the Lapras to knock it out, and we have defeated Lorelei in 1 hour, 24 minutes and 45 seconds. Our second league member is Bruno. He's a fighting type specialist who leads with Onyx. Onyx is a very nice freebie after the end of that battle. We'll swap to Return for the Hitmonchan as our speed drops courtesy of a Rock Tomb. We 2-shot it, and here comes Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee's Mega Kick misses and we critical hit, so that was altogether a very good turn. So he sends out Machamp. Machamp starts bulking up, which is okay for us because we'll swap to Surf on the second turn to knock it out. The final Pokemon is Onyx. That's a simple 1-shot with Surf, and we are through Bruno in 1 hour, 25 minutes and 31 seconds. Let's move on to Agatha, the Ghost-type specialist who leads with Gengar. We're going to start off with a Surf against the Gengar, and we get a very lucky critical hit to knock it out in 1. We'll swap to Ice Beam for the Golbat, and we'll knock that out in a single hit, and the next Pokemon is Arbok. We get intimidated, so our physical attack is slightly lower, but it's still going to be the best play here against the Arbok. We don't get poisoned by Sludge Bomb. She gets caught in a healing loop, and 2 further Earthquakes knocks it out. Her next Pokemon is another Gengar. We're going to swap back to Surf for the Gengar, but we get sent to sleep and we get locked into Nightmare. We get far luckier than we had any right to be here because it was a short sleep. That's meant we could finish off her Gengar and pick off her final Haunter, and we get through Agatha on our first try in 1 hour, 26 minutes and 42 seconds. Our final league member is Lance, the Liar with the Flyers, who leads with Gyarados. We don't have anything great for this Gyarados, but a critical hit from Ice Beam knocks it out in 2, and here comes his first Dragonair. Ice Beam's a 1-shot on Dragonair, so he sends out another hoping for something different. It doesn't happen for him though, and he sends out his Dragonite. Ice Beam hits Dragonite even harder than it hits the Dragonair, and the final Pokemon is Aerodactyl. We knock it out with a single Surf, and we defeat Lance and the Pokemon League in 1 hour, 27 minutes and 27 seconds. And that means there's only one obstacle between us and our final time in this run. It's time for triple exclamation mark, the champion of the Kanto region, and he leads with Pidgeot. We take Pidgeot deep into the red with a first Ice Beam, and he's already using his first full restore. 2 further Ice Beams later, and we knock it out, and we are on to Venusaur. We get to Venusaur comfortably in the yellow on turn 1 as he takes in Sunlight. We knock it out on turn 2, and we grow to level 68. The third Pokemon is Alakazam. We use Return against the Alakazam and take it deep into the red, but then he reflects. And that is not what we need when we're going to get intimidated, because we absolutely need our physical attack for the Gyarados. It's going to be our best chance to get through it. I decide to try an Ice Beam instead against the Gyarados because it's going to run neutral, but even when the Reflect wears off, Return is doing next to nothing against this Gyarados. He gets himself in a little bit of a healing loop using a full restore, and we keep chipping away with Return. Our health is far too low when we get onto the final Arcanine, and he's learnt about extreme speed and he knocks us out. So we're back to square one against the champion. We already know though, we have a win condition. We've just got to get through that Gyarados a little bit better than we did last time. We 2-shot the Pidgeots with Surf, and that means we're back onto the Venusaur. Venusaur is free in this generation because it's only going to take in Sunlight. It's very similar to Red's Venusaur in that sense. So we can grow to level 68 once more, and we use Return on turn 1 against Alakazam. It turns out that Return was arranged this entire time, and we knock it out in a single hit. We 1-shot the Rhydon with Surf, and we're in a much better state for this Gyarados. We don't have a Reflect up, so that means that Return is an option. We critical hit on turn 1, and that means he heals up his Gyarados for the first time. We get back onto spamming Return, and he's going to spam Dragon Rage because that provides the greatest damage against us. But when he heals again, we're going to have to take another reset. We're not even able to see the Arcanine this time, and we're all the way back to Pidgeot. Barring that Gyarados, this battle is incredibly winnable. We just need a little bit of luck against it. Pidgeot and Venusaur are ostensibly meaningless at this point. As long as he doesn't Feather Dance, we're in with a good shout of winning the rest of this battle. We're going to use Return against Alakazam and we high roll once more. We know that Rhydon's free as well, so we are on full health for the Gyarados yet again. And this time we're in with a little bit of luck. He uses Thrash, that's going to guarantee confusion. I decide to set up the rain to try and boost Surf. We use Surf against the Gyarados, it hits itself in confusion, and now we're on 116 HP for the Arcanine. Arcanine uses Extreme Speed, it's meaningless though because we knock it out in a single Surf, and we defeat triple exclamation mark in 1 hour, 37 minutes and 1 second. Goodness me, what a run that was. The rival proved to be incredibly tricky in a lot of places. I'm incredibly surprised at just how tough Lorelei was as well. But that final time of 1:37.01 puts us in a well-deserved second place on the leaderboard. We're just 5 minutes behind Walrein, one of our very first runs here in FireRed. That does mean that Linoon is now in third place, and Kecleon and Meganium round up the leaderboard. But with that, we are done. So if you have enjoyed this foray into Generation 3 again, make sure to leave a like. If you want to see more runs just like this, then click the subscribe button. Leave any feedback in the comments down below, and until next time when it's Lugia and Crystal, I'll say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.